Well, yeah, good to be back. Man, I was sick last week. Prayed over Stroh's at second service and walked out and went home, went to bed and slept for 4 hours. I was sick, so I feel much better now, though. This sermon series, 3-week series, okay, and then Pastor James is going to speak in 4 weeks. Really looking forward to that. But this 3-week series that I'll be offering, Egypt, Babylon, and the road to Emmaus. Every time you preach a sermon or a sermon series, you want to, if it's what Daniel just said, we're confident in what the Lord has given us, and we continue to receive what God is giving us. And you always want to have confidence and passion and so on and so forth in what God has given you to speak. But then there's some things that God gives you to say, and you think, wow, this is revolutionary. And I can tell you that's how I feel about these next 3 sermons that I'm going to be giving you. I could probably preach these next 3 sermons over the course of the next 3 years, because this has been the arena of my passion for the last 2+ years. What I want to give you is just kind of a very small snippet of what I've been studying for the last 2.5 years. And I will tell you, it has radically transformed my life. My life is very, very different now than it was 2.5 years ago. It's not that I'm a different person. I'm the same person. But I want you to think about this. It's something I read this week, and I think I said it to Maddie prior to rehearsal this morning for the praise team. Has the sun ever ceased to shine? Now really think about that. Has the sun ever ceased to shine? Even when it goes over the horizon and darkness rises. That's all the sun knows to do. The sun doesn't stop shining at sundown. The sun always shines. On the clearest of days, the sun is shining. On the cloudiest of days, sun is still shining. What I've realized in my life over these last 2 years is that God is causing the clouds in my life to dissipate. You see what I'm saying? You know how that, have you, come on, I mean, I don't know if they say this in the rest of the world, but I know we say it here in Appalachia. When the sun burns the fog off. You've heard that phrase? I feel like for the last 2.5 years, God's been burning the fog off of my life. And the clarity of the shining sun is coming forth like it never has before. And what I hope is, this is my hope, and I think if we remain surrendered, I mean, that prayer was a powerful prayer. If we remain surrendered, as you just have prayed, knowing what we know and confident in what we will still receive, because when does God ever cease to be creator? The clouds will always dissipate from our life. And the clarity of today will seem cloudy in our tomorrows. But I'm content in the moment. All right, so there's your preface. Now, take some time. I only got 9 slides today, so we could be done in 9 minutes, but you know that's not going to happen. When you see that title up there, and you see Egypt, Babylon, and the road to Emmaus, what's going through your head? I want you to be an active listener in here, okay? I want you to be an active listener. My counselor friends have taught me, don't give people the answer, because they never take ownership of the answer. You've given it to them. But if you walk them to the answer and let them discover the answer, and they verbalize the answer, they are more likely to identify and take into their character the answer. So I don't want to just give it to you. I want you to think about it. When you see Egypt, Babylon, and the road to Emmaus, what do you know about that? Little parentheses here. I'll jump to the middle one. This summer when I preached on Babylon, you and I had a great conversation that I know some, if not many people in this room were like, what in the world is he even talking about when he says Babylon? I believe that there is one pervasive spirit in our society which is driving each of these three things. Okay? One spirit, and these are like tentacles going out from that same spirit. And it is leaving us as a people in a very, very bad place. I said this past week in staff meeting on Thursday when I had to present this word that I feel as though America, and I'm not going to answer for the rest of the world, let me just speak of America. I believe with all my heart that America is suffering from spiritual carbon monoxide poisoning. What do they call that? The silent killer? I don't think we even realize it's happening because it's so innocent and so present everywhere. It's just slowly killing us as a people. And we don't even realize it's happening. And here's the thing. I don't think that any person in this room, and I mean, oh, come on now, we all sin. And I know we all have our secrets in this room. Not everything do you want up on that screen. We were joking before service, poor Donna and I walked up to her and I said, come on, just a little bit. Just let me tell a little bit. Just a little bit. Donna posted a Facebook Live video this week. That's my point. Let me get there. I walked up to her before anybody came in the room, but now that you're all here, let's just all talk about it. I said, Donna, that wasn't on purpose, was it? She said, no, it was not. I remember years ago I asked Garrett, what's Twitter? He said, Dad, you should probably stay off of there. No, with Snapchat. He said Snapchat, stay off of there. Anyways, I don't think it's necessarily something that we're just out there doing. You know, I don't think it's something obvious out there. It's just there. And it's wearing us down. And it's wearing us down. I quoted this during Christmas time. Go ahead, fellas. Listen to this. Now think about something. When Jesus is speaking about the culmination of the end of the world, how does he characterize the conditions, the atmosphere, the character of most people's lives? Okay? When I was a kid growing up, my mom said, you're not allowed to listen to Ozzy Osbourne. You'll go to hell if you listen to Ozzy Osbourne. Okay? And don't walk out of here saying, Kevin said I'm not allowed to listen to Ozzy Osbourne. And don't walk out of here saying, Kevin said, oh, it's totally fine. I don't really care about Ozzy Osbourne. Okay? I know some people in this room struggle with addictions like, you know, painkillers, alcohol, pornography, boom, 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 boom. I understand that, okay? I'm not even talking about that. Look at what Jesus says up here. He doesn't say people will be cheating on their wives left and right. He doesn't say that. What does he say? He describes spiritual carbon monoxide poisoning. And just as it happened in the days of Noah, so it will be also in the days of the Son of Man. They were eating and drinking Oreos and milk. My son Tanner and Amy, May 2nd, we're marrying and giving in marriage. Now, is that sin? Heck no. Heck no. We're having a wedding on May 2nd. But look what Jesus says. They were eating and drinking. You have to eat and drink. They were marrying and giving. And there's nothing about Ozzy Osbourne in there. Until the day that Noah entered the ark and the flood came and destroyed them all. Now, if Jesus of Nazareth says that, we should probably stand up and take notice. He's not saying abject sin is going to take down the world. He says innocuous sin. Dare I say innocent sin, if there can be such a thing. It was the same as happened in the days of Lot. I know what we like to talk about in Sodom and Gomorrah, but Jesus doesn't even reference those things. Those things are present, but he doesn't even reference those things when he talks about the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah. Think about that. Sodom and Gomorrah has just been the epitome of evil for all these years. And when Jesus talks about their destruction, he doesn't say a single thing about sexual sin. I think it's present, but that's not what he references here. He says the reason they went down was they were eating and they were drinking. Look at this next one. They were buying and they were selling. Oh, Kevin, you're not saying Black Friday is the ruination of us all. Yes, I am. And you can walk out of here and say, he said that, because I just said it. It's killing us. We are dying. All of us. We get up and do it every day. And I'm telling you, that which we are doing, which society expects of us, is killing all of us spiritually. And for the next 3 weeks, and for the rest of my days, I'm going to give people the permission to walk away. And I'm going to tell you, you watch the fight. You watch the fight. Because the world will say, you can't leave. You have to do it this way, or you won't survive. And do you know what I say? Who says? Try it. Try to walk away. What if you never used your cell phone again? I walked into the Giant Eagle yesterday, and I'm in the checkout line, and I did this. I went, I don't know where my phone is. I'm guessing I'm not the only person in this room that's ever said that sentence. And do you know what I said in that moment? I hope I lost it. And the little girl at the checkout counter said, but your life is in there. Oh, don't tell me you've never said that either. Yes, you have. Think about that. My life is in that cell phone. What if you lost your cell phone? I'd be happy. Yeah, so would I. But we wouldn't be able to get to him. How did you get to people when you had a cord stuck to the end of the phone? I know I'm sounding like the grumpy old guy with the gray beard. But you know what I'm saying is right. Because I know what I'm saying is right. And God's telling us all, it's killing us. Let me give you a quote by this book that I'm reading right now. It's beautiful. I want to just slow down. Just slow down. Take it for what it is. Stillness is very far from being just one kind of thing Christians do. This is what I'm going to teach you these next 3 weeks, stillness. It is the key to prayer. Liturgy. What do we mean by liturgy? The process that we walk in order to get to Holy Communion. Okay? The process that we walk religiously in order to get to relationship with God, to where you go, oh, I felt my heart strangely warmed. Okay? Art and ethics, the key essence of a renewed humanity that is capable of seeing the world and other subjects in the world with freedom. Freedom from self-oriented habits of greedy acquisition and the distorted understanding that comes from them. I am because I have. That's ridiculous. To put it boldly, stillness is the only ultimate answer to the unreal and insane world that our financial systems and our advertising culture and our chaotic and unexamined emotions encourage us to inhabit. To learn stillness is to learn what we need so as to live truthfully and honestly and lovingly. Without a humanity shaped by stillness, we'll have nothing to give to others. We will communicate to them nothing but the diseased touch of our own obsessions, aggressiveness, ego-centered ambitions, and delusions about ends and means. Well, I have to do this, do you? But what if I don't? Let's see. I was just talking to the Kids Kingdom ladies in the back, and Dina said, we were talking about being sick, and Eden was sick, and a lot of people have been sick, and, we were just talking, Linda, that some people cough for a month or 2 months or whatever. And Dina said, they thought about it, one of the Christian schools here in town, just to shut the school down. Well, you couldn't do that. Well, why? Well, we'd miss a week of education, and maybe everybody would take a nap and rest. And they might just feel better. And then instead of trying to show up sick and not able to receive, maybe they would be well and more receptive to receive greater. But you can't do that in America. My granny used to say that this was the motto of America. Make all you can all you make, and then sit on your can. Make all you can all you make, and then live out your days sitting on your can. Really? Is that what we've become as a people? My fear is we have. We are far more interested in the stability of a 401k than we are in the sustaining God. We feel as though in our lives, if we do not produce silver and gold, I want you to think about what you just prayed in that prayer room, because this brother speaks prophecy. Like, even when he doesn't say, "Thus saith the Lord," prophecy rolls from his mouth. He just prayed this in the prayer room. Think about that prayer you just prayed. Somewhere deep down inside of those Israelites, that prayer was brilliant. Somewhere deep down inside those Israelites, they knew when Moses wasn't there, what they should have been doing was worshiping. That was what the inside of them said, okay? But what did they do in their default sinfulness? They brought their silver and gold. You see, part of us knows I need to be worshiping God. But the sinful side of humanity always defers to silver and gold. We'll bring silver and gold and worship silver and gold, and God's going, no. Well, but it's what we produce. You didn't produce anything. How'd you get that, slaves? You got it when God put it on your back in the first place. I find it interesting, and I'm getting way ahead of my sermon here, but I find it very interesting that God, who drives the Israelites to the desert in order to be sustained by manna, allows them to be showered with silver and gold to see whether they'll choose manna or silver and gold. And they keep going back to silver, and we do it too. We do it too. I can't lose my phone, because if I lose my phone, I'll lose my ability to engage in commerce. I won't know what's happening in the world. I won't be able to post the 5,000 pictures of the stupid things that I eat. Nobody cares. Think about Jesus, what he says. This is how the Gentiles live. You're worried about what you're eating and drinking, what you're wearing. The Gentiles live this way. We post stuff. Look what I'm wearing. Leslie looks at me every day and goes, "Is that what you're going to wear?" Which basically is translation for "go back and try again." have we become? Let's just all go out and buy an Ozzy Osbourne album. It'll be just so much easier. Because at least we'll know we're sinning. Boy, oh boy. Egypt is production. Egypt is a picture of production. What is Babylon? Babylon is a picture of consume, 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 consume. Make all you can, production. Can all you make, consumption. And the road to Emmaus. Ooh, that's a little different. Think of how foolish this is. People walking with Jesus tell Jesus about the God who's no longer with them. Don't you know what happened? God disappeared. And God looks at them and said, did he now? Weren't our hearts burning within us the entire time? Why do you feel like you have to go somewhere to be with God? Where do you think he is? Weren't your hearts burning within you the entire time? You missed him. And yet he's still right here. That's what I want to talk about for the next 3 weeks. And I want you to do this. Because here's the thing. What you're going to hear me say is, I have to leave all of this. That's the temptation. No, no, no. Our God is the God that says, go ye into all the world. So think about what's being said here. And I'm going to keep coming back to this. This is really going to be your thesis for the entire series. In the city, out there, and in the country, in here, in there, up here. You can live in absolute peace all by yourself and with everybody, whether you're with them or not. See, God works spherically. He doesn't work linearly. I know you want him to because then you can measure him. And if you measure him, you can put a handle on him. And if you put a handle on him, then you can control him. You can make him whatever size you want to make him, and then you can fill him, and then you can take in what you... God doesn't work like you want him to work. He works like this. When you think he's here, he's over here. And then when you run over here, he goes, oh, well, I'm back here. Well, I thought you were over there. I am. But I'm not. In the city and the country, alone and with others, you can live in absolute peace with God and neighbor. Many of you in this room are saying right now, I don't buy it. I'm telling you, you can. Others of you in this room are saying, whew, that'll be hard. I could lose everything. Good. I'm guessing the bank will not ask me to come and give this speech. What do you do if you work in the banking industry and you hear a sermon like this? You're an evangelist in the banking industry or in the business world. You know? What do you do with this? That's easy for you, preacher. You get to read the Bible all day. Yeah, I do. What are you going to do when you have to fix furnaces every day? What are you going to do? What are you going to do when you have to sell insurance? What are you going to do? What does this have to do with your life? It has everything to do with your life. Read this beautiful book, Sabbath as Resistance. I'm a horrible Sabbath keeper. I tried on Friday. It went pretty well. We are a society of 24/7 multitasking. Pause on the word multitasking. Didn't Jesus say you can't serve God and mammon? Why are we so committed to multitasking? What if you just did one thing at a time? Well, we can't do that. I don't know. Can you? Yes, you can. You are programmed to do one thing at a time. We are a society of 24/7 multitasking in order to achieve, accomplish, perform, and possess. I'll get to this second sentence next week, but I'm going to still read it now. But the demands of market ideology pertain as much to consumption as they do to production. They pertain as much to Babylon as they do to Egypt. Thus, the system of commodity. Daniel played college sports. Shep played college sports. My wife played college sports. You've signed a paper to play college sports. When you came into Concord, how many kids came into your class? About 25. When you left, I don't even get to finish the sentence. When you left Concord, of the original 25 who came in with you, how many were left? 7. Commodity. You ever felt like a commodity in your athletic life? You ever felt like, listen, I was married to her last year of athletic life. You feel like a commodity. My brother, if you think you are not a commodity, you are a fool. Now, does that mean don't play football? No, that's the platform that God has given you to advance the gospel of Jesus Christ. But don't be so foolish to think that somehow you are not a commodity. Football in America is a commodity-driven system. When our kids were little, and some of you can say, well, Kevin, you can say that all you want because you don't have kids that are playing ball anymore. Well, let me tell you what was said when my kids were playing ball. My kids would say at the end of February every year, Mom, are we playing March Madness? And Leslie would say, no. And they would say, why? And she'd say, because it's madness. We need a break for a month before we start doing it again. Now, I know I'm getting into some of your wheelhouses, and you're deciding right now, but what if my kid doesn't play 12 months out of the year? Will they have a future? Well, who's in charge of the future? Your AAU coach? The person teaching your child in private lessons at the guitar store? Your math tutor? Oh, they'll never make it if they don't have a math tutor. Well, who are you trusting in? God or the math tutor? I don't have a problem with math tutors, Janet. I sent my kids to you, okay? And they all made it through. Not sure any of them will be doing math for a living, despite your best efforts. Do you understand that you are who God made you to be? Now, see, this is where it gets real dicey, because you're thinking, are you saying don't? No, I didn't say that. I'm just saying, are you obsessed by it? That's what I'm saying. I didn't tell you don't. She went to basketball camp every summer. Every summer. And she's a physical therapist. And she could still shoot foul shots pretty well. But are you obsessed? Are you treating your own children like commodities? And if they make it, we've made it. Your father played professional football, and that was a great experience. Your brother played in Virginia, at Virginia. Saw him run a touchdown against Miami one year. It was a very long run. You know, and you probably were recruited by tons of schools. But boy, Shep, if you didn't get your mother's genes, if you were just big like your daddy, oh well. Do you see what I'm saying? It's no fun to be treated like a commodity. God doesn't treat you like a commodity. But boy, we live according to that commodity system now, don't we? And we somehow trust in that commodity system, saying that's what brings us value. Is it any wonder why people are so down in the dumps these days? Because they feel like they never measure up. Thus, the system of commodity requires that we want more, have more, own more, use more, eat more, drink more. The rat race of such pirating and forceful taking is a restlessness that produces an anxiety that is often at the edge of being unmanageable. Mothers in the room, have you ever said, I don't know how we're going to get all this done? I'm guessing my household isn't the only household that has a scheduled conversation every single day of our lives. What do you have today? Okay, hopefully we'll be able to kiss somewhere in between. You didn't get married because of a peck on the cheek will not sustain a lasting marriage, and neither will that schedule that is keeping you from the long, deep kiss. When pursued vigorously enough, moreover, one is propelled to violence against the neighbor in eagerness for what properly belongs to the neighbor. We're constantly chasing. Rick, you've coached AAU for years. How many parents are competing for spots that aren't theirs to compete for? You know what I just said? Most. Yeah. A friend of mine ran for an elected office a few years ago. He was called to the pastorate. I asked him, why are you running for elected office? He said, because I want to do well in the community. I said, has God called you to this? If you're called to be a pastor, you probably shouldn't run for elected office. Yes, but I could do good. According to whom? If you're to be a prophet and a priest, why are you running to be king? Oh. Well, I've never viewed life like that. I thought I would just be doing good in my society. Maybe it wasn't your place to do well in. What are we, casting lots now? Puts a new spin on the electoral process now, doesn't it? He's our man. I don't know, is he? I'm just asking you to ask questions. I want you to think about this, and we're almost done. God says to Moses and Aaron, I need you to go to Pharaoh, and I need you to say to Pharaoh, my people need to get away. Why do you think Southwest has been so successful as an airline industry? What's their tagline? Want to get away? What was Calgon's tagline? Take me away. You think this is just now? This has been going on for centuries. Want to get away? God gave Southwest and Calgon their taglines, their branding. Then Moses and Aaron said, the God of the Hebrews has met with us. Please let us get away. Go 3 days' journey into the wilderness that we may sacrifice to the Lord our God. Otherwise, he will fall upon us with pestilence or with the sword. Moses and Aaron say to the king of Egypt, we need to get away. We need to leave Egypt in order to worship God. And contrastingly, what does the God of Egypt say? What does the king of Egypt say? What does Pharaoh say? Moses and Aaron, why do you draw the people away from their work? Get back to your labors. Huh? How many workaholics have said, I can't take the day off. I'll fall behind. I've said it. I've said it. I have to write my sermon. Maybe if I was with the Lord, I wouldn't have to write it. Maybe he'd write it for me. I'm not sure God is interested in my little presentation. But I had great pictures. I made the people laugh. I even got a new joke book. I danced. And they all loved it. Yeah. Isn't that what Egypt says? Produce, 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 produce. Lead, follow, or get out of the way. Yeah. Think about what Instagram and Twitter are based on. They like me. They really like me. I got 50 likes. How many likes did you get? Well, I went viral. Loser. But how many friends do you have on Facebook? I have 3,148 friends on Facebook. 200 people came to my grandmother's funeral. We don't have enough seating for all of my friends. I've produced more friends than you. I must be a better friend. And yet this is the system upon which we are building our lives. And if you somehow don't post, then somehow the world won't know. And if the world doesn't know, then they won't know you. And you won't be liked and you won't be known. You know? How many cars do you have to sell in order to be successful in this world? We have to produce, we have to produce, we have to produce, we have to produce. Because if we don't produce, someone else will. The system of Pharaoh never allows for worshipful wilderness rest. This world is Egypt, and Egypt's economy is one of Pharaoh-like production. Listen to this, please. God's children, while in Egypt, because you're never getting out. You understand? You're going to have to find the promised land within Egypt. There ain't no River Jordan to cross, baby. You are stuck in Egypt. But you better figure out how to get to the promised land within it, or you're going to die anxious and producing and without worship. Daily, you got to get away. I know, it sounds silly. I know. You got to read it. Oh, Kevin, I'm sorry. You got to read and look here. How much should I read? You're back to Egypt. I read 5 chapters. You read 3 chapters. You're measuring again. What if you read 3 words? Daniel's teaching 6 verses in the entire spring. 6 verses for the whole spring? The Lord is my shepherd. What about I shall not want? Well, why don't we just stay here until we figure that one out? You know? Daily, you got to pray. Okay? Look, I know, I've heard it a million times. I don't have to go to church to worship. Okay. What community are you worshiping with? Because the Bible clearly says you got to get together with other believers. This is not a one-person deal. You cannot solo this with God. You have to worship with other people. And seasonally. Do you live according to the world's calendar or God's calendar? Egypt for the wilderness in order to worship God. One last thing. Where does our sustenance come from? When they finally get out, this is what the Lord has commanded. Gather manna, every man, as much as he should eat. Oh, wow, interesting. Gather as much as you should eat. I'll let you decide how much you think you should eat. That's what God says. Wow. That would change a lot of cruise ships. You shall take an omer apiece. He tells them how much to gather. If they still take too much and too less. You shall take an omer apiece according to the number of persons each of you has in his tent. The sons of Israel did so, and some gathered much, and some gathered little. Some produced more than the others, and others, well, they didn't produce enough. And look who's in charge of the production. When they measured it with an omer, he who had gathered much had no excess, and he who had gathered little had no lack. Every man gathered as much as he should eat. Okay, there, car salespeople. Think about that. What if you focused your business every day thinking about that? If that was the prayer in the morning, Lord, we completely entrust this dealership to you. Help us to sell the exact amount of cars you desire for us to sell today. And you have no expectation in your head. Like you walk out of there and say, we sold 30, or tires. Okay? Oh my gosh, we sold 100 tires today. God blessed us immeasurably. I don't know. Maybe 100 was the omer. What if you sell none? Well, you prayed the prayer. Where is your faith? What if God doesn't want you to sell any today? But you had a very good conversation with somebody. Oh. I don't know if I'll be able to pay my tax bill. Who's in charge of your tax bill? Oh. Well, we can't run our business like that. Can you? God's children are delivered from Pharaoh's anxiety system when they come to the wilderness and trust in the provision of God rather than trusting in a restless system of endless human production. The conclusion affirmed by the narrative is that wherever God governs as an alternative to Pharaoh, there the restfulness of God effectively counters the restless anxiety of Pharaoh. Whew, man, I know I'm asking you to believe a lot here. We're really messing with your world now. So 3 questions to finish. This is the salvation question. As an Egyptian living a life of production within Pharaoh's economy, are you willing to surrender through Jesus to Messiah to become a child of God? Will you give your life to Christ and not this wacky world? Are you an anxious, exhausted Hebrew? Because I know some of you are Christians in this room and you are dying on the vine because you're trying to play both sides and you're never going to win it. You're going to kill yourself from exhaustion. Are you an anxious, exhausted Hebrew living a life of production within Pharaoh's economy and longing for wilderness worship and God-sustaining manna? Is that you? Get to the wilderness. As God's child, will you daily, which is right now, weekly, which is right now, and seasonally head to the wilderness to worship God? You don't have anything else to do for the next 20 minutes. Nothing. The power company is not going to come in the next 20 minutes and shut your power off. Okay? The tax man ain't coming till April 15th. But you know what I have to have done this afternoon? It's 10:09. It's not this afternoon. It's still morning. What do you have to do right now? Do you trust in God enough right now? Right now. Not to let your head go here and not to let your head go there and not to let your head right. Just stop the commentary and spend the next 20 minutes with God because He's here. In you and beside you. I'm just asking you to give Him. As a matter of fact, don't even give Him the next 20. Just give Him this second. This second. As God's child, will you daily, weekly, and seasonally head to the wilderness to worship God? And will you daily trust in God and not Pharaoh to provide manna alone as your sustenance? In the city and the country, alone and with others, you can live in absolute peace with God and neighbor. Father, thank you so much for this morning. We've got a long journey to go. And that's the funny thing, God. You're saying, Kevin, it's not about the journey as much as we've heard that it's about the journey. That's the funny thing, God. We think it's about the destination. And then somebody says, well, it's about the journey. Well, journeys are filled with momentary destinations. That's full circle, God. When we rest in the destination of the moment, if in you we live, if in you we move, and if in you we have our being, then we should be content to be held in place as you live, as you move, and as you are being. We never have to move again. You're in charge of the standing, and you're in charge of the walking. And all we have to be given to is remaining held by you. God, I know that this is a difficult thing, but just continue your work in each heart and each mind in this room, that every person in this room would walk away from Egypt by recognizing the promised land is before them. Jesus, thank you for this blessed meal of bread and juice. I think about the daily devotional today. Life is Eucharist. I pray that people across this room, for the first time or the millionth time, come forward and say, Jesus is Lord. It's the only requirement to receive this blessed holy meal, to say, Jesus is Lord. Jesus is my Lord. And I pray they come. And I pray for these next moments, each and every person worships you in spirit and truth. We love and give you praise, God. It's in Jesus' precious name that we pray. Amen. Will you leave Egypt and come and receive, saying, Jesus is Lord?